So on BookTube, do you like to know about like mediocre books, or do you only want to know like the good and the bad? Like when you're on here looking for recommendations, do you want the extremes? Do you care about the books in the middle? I'm curious. So I feel like some of my recent reads have kind of been meh, and I don't know if that's just me or... Anyway, I'm just gonna dive in. The first book I have is A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Mayhem. So this was okay. This was a meh book for me. It's a lady newspaper owner, journalist type thing. I think like her husband died and she inherited the company, but she's also a journalist. And so she was reporting on these murders that she thinks need more publicity to get solved. And she ends up catching the eye of the killer, but also coming under the scrutiny of the police because of what she's publishing. So she kind of like goes to the country to get away from the city life for a bit and ends up like discovering a murder. And so she's even more involved with the police, which makes her even more involved with this case. And I feel like overall the villain was pretty predictable, but I did enjoy the like investigation. So I would say borrow this from your library, but I doubt I'd maybe read more in the series. I didn't like love it, but I know some people have, so maybe it's just me. Next is The Seawolf's Mate. I loved this. These are like my comfort reads. These are the like shifter romances that are like easy. Like, yeah, it's maybe little insta love, but so this one is like a 911 dispatcher in a small town. There's this big festival going in. She gets a call that these kids are in danger, but she can't get any backup because of the big event. So she goes to save these kids. Turns out these kids are a bunch of like orphan shifters, and another shifter happens to be in the area and comes to save them as well. And they meet and sparks fly. This is actually, I think, the second in a series, but I read it as a standalone, and that's perfectly fine. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the little bit of conflict. I loved the like found family aspect of this one. Like I said, they're like not exactly Hallmark type because there is a little bit of sexy scenes, just like a smidge, like maybe like one sexy scene, not a lot, but it's kind of I love these. These are my comfort reads. Next we have Soul Taken. And this is book 13 in the Mercy Thompson series. So I don't want to talk about it a lot. It does revolve around Wolf, and he has gone missing. But the question is he missing, or is he causing other people to go missing as well? Like, is he the good guy or the bad guy? You got to figure that out. But I adore Mercy Thompson series. I adore Patricia Briggs books. I understand they're not everyone's cup of tea. I will almost always recommend them. The first book in the series is Moon Called. It does take a few books to get into the series, and there are some like trigger warnings around like book 3 or 4, but not in like her writing, but what happens to the character. But it's not like swept under the rug, and it's like dealt with throughout the series. I feel like it's a big factor that I feel like I now want to let people know, but I love these books. And I feel like this was a good addition. We learned who some characters are. I'm not the biggest fan of the vampires in this series, but I did enjoy having Wolf as like one of the more main characters this time. Okay, the last book I'm gonna talk about today was a stunner. So this was Sleep Kitten. Oh my gosh, I'm hit or miss on like sports romance, but this was a hockey romance, and oh my gosh, my heart melted. So this girl is at a party for her cousin, and she runs into her ex-boyfriend, so she's kind of like going down in the basement and hiding, but it's like a super nice library basement, and she gets caught by this really cute guy, and they end up watching a movie together and like skipping the party. He thinks she's great, so he gets her deets from her cousin and asks her to his hockey game. And so she goes, and it was such like a fun like rom-com, and they like tried to date, and they kept getting like hijacked by the best things, like his mom and his coach and all these other fun things. And yes, it is very sexy, very nice and spicy, but the like romance of it and like the dates he picks, and it was just heart melting. It was so sweet. I love this. And I know there's at least 2 more books. Oh, they just came out with new covers. So these covers were a little more conservative, but the new covers have sexy men on them. I'm all for either cover, but I'm really looking forward to reading the next 2 books in this series. I thought this one was, I highly recommend this one. Go find it. I would want this on my bookshelf. I loved it so much. Those are some of the 4 of the books that I've read recently. I've kind of been in a slump. I haven't read a lot. I have a few more books that I want to talk about, but I'll save that for another day because I only have a few minutes to squeeze this in before my kids come running down the stairs. So let me know, have you read any of these? Do you have any recommendations that are similar to these? I would love to know about them. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, y'all.